Welcome to automate any treasury process without writing code. Now, before we talk about tools, AI, or automation, I want to start with why this course exists at all. Treasury teams are some of the most risk-aware and detail-oriented teams in the business. And yet, they're also the ones often stuck doing some of the most manual and repetitive work in any organization. Things like daily liquidity reporting, monitoring cash movements, and reviewing investment compliance. These aren't conceptually difficult, but they're hard in practice because they're manual, fragmented, and fragile. So this course exists to fix that, without turning you into a developer, without creating something IT won't touch, and without introducing new risk into an already risk-sensitive function. Now, if you work in Treasury, there's a good chance you've had a reaction to automation that sounds something like, well, this sounds nice, but what if it breaks? Or worse, what if it works and no one understands it or uses it? Treasury doesn't get the luxury of experimenting just for the sake of experimentation. Because when something goes wrong, it's visible and it affects cash, liquidity, compliance, or even risk. And that's why most Treasury teams either avoid automation altogether or end up with half-finished solutions that never really scale. So most of those efforts end up failing for predictable reasons. They start with tools instead of starting with the process. Because remember, automating a bad process just gives you a faster bad process. Someone comes in and says we should use Power Automate or we should use AI, and they try to bolt those onto an existing workflow that's messy, undocumented, and full of exceptions. No tool can fix a process that isn't clear. So in this course, I take the opposite approach. This is a Treasury-first course. I start with how Treasury actually works, not how IT vendors wish it worked. We're going to focus on workflows, not features. And we're going to build automations that are simple, explainable, and safe enough to run every day in a real Treasury environment. Just as important, let's be clear about what this course is not. You are not learning to code. You are not becoming an AI engineer. You are not building custom applications. And you are absolutely not replacing Treasury judgment with automation. Humans still make the decisions. Automation handles the repetitive preparation work, so humans can focus on risk, judgment, and oversight. This course is for anyone responsible for recurring Treasury work. Whether you run daily liquidity, monitor cash balances, review investment compliance, or support Treasury from FP&A or finance. If you can explain your process to a coworker, you already have everything you need to automate it. You also don't need special skills or perfect conditions to succeed here. You don't need to know how to code. You don't need special IT access to learn these concepts. And most importantly, you don't need perfect data, because none of us have that. Treasury data is messy, and this course is designed for that reality. Now, I want to show you an example of truly what's possible with automation. Now, don't get scared looking at everything on here, because we're going to learn step by step how to automate any Treasury process. But what I want to show you is just how far automations have come and get your brain going with ideas of how much you can accomplish. Now, we're looking at N8N, which is a workflow tool that I'm going to teach you later in the course as we start building out our own automations. And again, don't worry about the buttons, don't worry about the text. What I want to show you is what this can do. What you're looking at is an entire CFO agent and their finance team. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and show you exactly what this looks like. So this all works around a chat. So whenever a chat message is received, and you can open the chat right here, whenever a chat message is received, it goes to a CFO agent. The CFO agent uses AI and it thinks to understand your request and route it to the right department. Now, how cool is that? And if we look at the different departments, so we've got an internal audit and control specialist, we have an investment and risk analyst, we have an accounting specialist, here's our treasury and cash management team, a financial analyst, and a financial planning analyst. Each one of these is a specially designed agent coded to that function to help the CFO agent answer whatever the prompt is. So this allows you to bring to it any question, any process, and help you work through what that may look like. So let's go ahead and bring our CFO agent a Treasury question. So let's say, what are some suggestions you have for tracking liquidity on a daily basis? So we'll send that away and we'll see what the agent does. So you'll see it's running in the chat. Now it's with the CFO agent deciding where it needs to go. And in theory, this should route right down to Treasury and cash management. And it has done so. So now it's running in this special node. And this node will be answering the question which the CFO agent is correctly routed. But you see they're still working together. It's a sub-agent, so both processes are still running. And our chat should come back from OpenAI soon. All right, yeah, so Treasury and cash management's done. That's green. It's back to the CFO agent. And the CFO agent used its tool, its partner agent, and now the CFO agent itself is going to use its thinking to respond to us. All right, and here's our response. So here's a practical playbook you can adapt to your company's size and complexity. Set a daily cash position routine. First thing each morning, get all the balances. That's actually what we're going to build as our first automation, is a tool to do that automatically for you every day. So that's really great. For smaller firms, automate this. For larger firms, automate via your TMS. For smaller firms, bank fed works. Track 5 core liquidity metrics: operating cash flow, net cash, current and quick ratios, cash burn or build, and utilization of credit. Integrate real-time data sources where possible. Use dashboards and alerts. Use a 13-week rolling forecast. Establish minimum liquidity buffers. Separate operating versus reserve cash. Formalize early warning indicators. This is really good stuff. It's a full CFO recap here. Match the tracking to company size. Create a daily liquidity report pack. Again, this is something we're going to be doing with an AI tool in this course. Pair monitoring with action triggers, and review and improve monthly. So again, this is an entire CFO team working together, and you will be able to build something exactly like this without writing a single line of code by hand. Now, how cool is that? The first automation you'll build in this course is a daily liquidity summary, where instead of manually opening bank files, copying balances, and sanity checking totals, this automation does the heavy lifting by consolidating balances, checking thresholds, and delivering a clean one-page liquidity summary automatically, giving you the same output with far less manual risk. Next, you're going to build a cash movement alert so that instead of discovering issues after the fact, the automation will continuously monitor balances and accounts and movements, and it will notify you when something crosses a threshold or looks unusual. This will pull you in only when attention is actually required. Finally, you'll build an investment policy compliance assistant. You'll do this by taking a real policy document, not a cleaned up demo version, and you're going to turn this real policy document into structured checks that will review maturities, concentrations, ratings, and limits. This will produce a compliance summary you can review, validate, and stand behind to leadership. The tools in this course are intentionally boring, and that's a feature, not a bug. You'll use Excel or Sheets for transparency, AI assistants for reading, summarizing, and reasoning, and simple workflow tools to move data and deliver outputs, with results going where Treasury already works, like email, Teams, Slack, and shared folders. There are no exotic architectures and no fragile dependencies. By the end of this course, success is very concrete. You'll have 3 working Treasury automations. You'll be able to explain exactly how they work. You'll be able to quantify time saved and risk reduced. And you'll be able to present the automation confidently, not as an experiment, but as a real process improvement. One final piece of advice before we move on is not to try to automate everything at once. Pick one process, build something simple, get it running reliably, and optimize later. Because simple automations that ship beat perfect automations that never leave draft mode. Now, in the next module, we'll build the mental model you use for the rest of the course by showing how Treasury processes translate into automation without touching a single tool. Once you see the pattern, you'll start spotting automation opportunities everywhere. So with that, let's move on to Module 1.